Power, the most intoxicating drug that humanity created, more addictive than substances, more corrupt than ideologies. And in Africa, we have seen angels and demons. Welcome back. And remember that we discussed builders, where professionals are healing and entrepreneurs are creating. But everything exists within the frameworks that leaders determine. With good leaders, of course, Ubuntu flourishes. With bad leaders, selfishness becomes the only survival strategy. December 1999 in Pretoria, Nelson Mandela did something almost unprecedented. He walked away from power. 27 years imprisonment, 5 years rebuilding, and with an approval rating that was sky high, he could have declared himself president for life, change the constitution, and build a dynasty, but he did not. Consider what happened in many African countries before he became president, where freedom fighters became tyrants over those they fought for. Nelson Mandela broke the cycle. He stayed for one term. He built institutions. He strengthened judiciary. He strengthened the media. He even strengthened the opposition. He made democracy very robust to survive his absence. Nelson Mandela gave Africa one of the greatest gifts ever. He proved that leadership is a temporary stewardship, not permanent ownership. Truth be told, Nelson Mandela is an exception. And that is because for every Mandela, we have had a Mugabe. For every graceful exit, we have had a minimum of 10 dragged out of power. For every strengthened democracy, we have had hardened autocrats. The cost, a staggering Africa losing billions of dollars to illicit financial flow. Our own wealth, our resources, our labor, our ingenuity stolen by corrupt leaders and taken offshore, buying London real estate, buying French vineyards, billions of dollars that could have been used to build thousands of hospitals, millions of homes, schools everywhere, good health care, and working infrastructure, instead sitting in accounts of men who claim to love Africa more while bleeding it dry. That is not leadership, that is parasitism, and that is treason against Ubuntu. However, we are not without some emerging good examples. Kigali, for instance, is one of Africa's cleanest cities, possibly the safest, with good healthcare, 60% women parliamentarians, and a stunning economic growth. 3 decades ago, the country went through horrific genocide. Millions were slaughtered within 100 days. The nation destroyed completely. Today, it is a development model. Paul Kagame, the president, is ruthlessly development-focused, building systems, making corruption risky, and he is result-focused. The only challenge is this: a single-person system will always collapse when they leave office, leading to violence and institutional collapse. True Ubuntu requires power to be so widely distributed that no single departure affects the whole. I need us to strongly take note of this. The most important Ubuntu principle for leaders is this: governance is best with many voices. Take Botswana, for instance. Since 1966, they have been enjoying peaceful power transfer, low corruption, steady development, avoided coups, and civil wars. How did it happen? By building strong institutions early, respect power limit, listen to opposition, and distributed power to traditional leadership and elected governments. Besides, they maintain independent courts and media. No single control. Selfishness is checked, and Ubuntu institutionalized. The most important leadership question today is this: What are we doing about our African youths? What kind of future do we have for them? It may interest you to know that our growing African youth population is either threatening to be catastrophic or promising to be magnificent. It depends on what our leaders do today and now. It is painful to see that too many see the African youth as threats already, blocking their rising. No mentorship, no leadership pathway, no voice in their future. That is not just bad leadership. That is existential stupidity. Imagine every parliament with powerful youth caucus, every ministry with actually consulted youth advisors, our budget allocating percentage to youth initiatives, elder statesmen preparing the next generation, and that their success is measured by how well they prepare others to lead. That is Ubuntu leadership. And that is how to unleash the currently wasted human capital, energy, future perspective, digital skills, and future stakes. Trust me, if empowered, our youth are able to build what our elders cannot even imagine. Coming to citizens' responsibility, we must all realize that power does not transfer willingly. We all have responsibilities. Corrupt leaders need corrupt citizens. Rigged election needs vote sellers. Stolen contract need bribe payers and bribe takers. Unjust system only need people looking away. But Ubuntu citizenship holds accountable, focuses on vote performance, not ethnicity, demand transparency, support independent media, protect whistleblowers, and calls for peaceful protest only when necessary. So politics is everyone's responsibility, not just politicians. Yes, politics may feel dirty, dangerous, and fertile, but that is what bad leaders want. Engage citizens, terrify corrupt and bad leaders. You know why? Because they know their rights, because they understand budget, because they vote for results, because they track promises.